things got real heated in the ESPN studios as Ryan Clark completely destroyed Dan Orlovsky.
It started like any other morning in the ESPN studio, bright lights, calm voices, another routine football debate, until a single word blew the doors off: generational. Dan Orlovsky said it like gospel about Arch Manning, and you could feel the air change. Chairs shifted, eyes narrowed. Ryan Clark leaned forward with that look that says, "You really just said that out loud." From there, the segment stopped being a debate and became a detonation.
Over his Arch Manning generational take. Now, we've seen Dan Orlovsky's bad take on Shedeur Sanders and Ryan Clark.
Orlovsky came armed with resume bullets, 6 feet 4 inches, 225 pounds, elite bloodline, GPS at 21 miles per hour, reciting the scouting report like scripture. Clark's silence thickened, jaw set, then he leaned in, tone calm, scalpel sharp, and drew a line. "You're about to cross into unreality, and I'm going to enjoy fixing it. If you want more breakdowns like this the moment they drop, tap subscribe now so you never miss the follow-ups." What followed wasn't yelling, it was precision. Clark didn't attack numbers. He attacked the mindset that confuses pedigree with proof, projection with production. To Orlovsky, generational meant measurable.
100%. Can you define to me what that means?
Well, generational talent would be that you have physical attributes that are rare and unique.
To Clark, it meant undeniable. That difference lit the fuse. When Dan stretched comparisons and invoked the stopwatch, Clark cut through with the line that froze the room. You don't need a speedometer on a quarterback to know if he can dominate silence. Recalibration. In one sentence, he turned charts into background noise and put the focus back where it belongs, on snaps that move games. Clark pressed. Lamar Jackson didn't need a legacy bubble to be electric. Trevor Lawrence didn't need excuses to be inevitable. And yes, without saying the name, Shedeur Sanders is living the same truth, proving it, not pitching it. Orlovsky's comps wilted next to live evidence. This wasn't a takedown of a stat, it was a takedown of a habit, the way media hands out crowns like family heirlooms and calls that evaluation. That's why it landed. Clark wasn't just countering Dan, he was cross-examining a machine.
When did 6'4", 225 pounds, 4'5", 4'6" in the 40.
None of those things.
100%.
The cycle recycles the same faces, the same narratives, the same comfortable myths. Ex-QBs hype safe prospects that look like the template. Producers lean on surnames. The spotlight rewards branding over ball. Meanwhile, players who actually bend programs, who turn empty stadiums into events and afterthought teams into headline drivers, get told to wait their turn. If you're here for proof over pedigree, hit like and help push this to fans who still care about tape. Then came the line that cracked the internet. Clark looked Orlovsky in the eye and delivered, "I don't care what that little vest you wear on top of your nipple says." The studio stalled, half gasp, half laughter, because underneath the comedy was the metaphor. The vest became the costume for flimsy certainty. Style as armor, graphics as cover, wardrobe as credibility. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere, replayed, remixed, slowed down, not just because it was funny, but because it punctured the illusion that packaging equals insight. Clark's core point, stripped to bone. You can't measure leadership with a stopwatch, log poise on next gen, or chart heart into a spreadsheet. Those live in moments. 3rd and 8, free rusher, hang in and rip it, 2-minute drill, calm eyes, control breath, throw on a string. That's the difference between he runs 21 miles per hour and he moves games. Generational talent doesn't negotiate with mediocrity, it rises. And yes, the subtext was loud. Clark didn't need to say Shedeur Sanders for everyone to hear it.
He's 100% 6'4", 220 plus pounds, and is like 4'5", 4'6", and 40. Got clocked at 21 miles an hour on GPS.
Shedeur walked into underdog programs, Jackson State, Colorado, and flipped them into national moments. Empty seats turned to sold-out scenes. Late-night highlights became appointment TV. That isn't a surname, that's impact. It's why legacy-first analysis rings hollow when production has already planted its flag. By then, the panel's posture told the story. This wasn't a roast. It was a revealing. Clark dismantled the habit of praising bloodlines like trophies, while real producers climbed through skepticism. Round after round, he forced the table and the audience to answer the question they dodge. What actually makes a quarterback generational? The name or the proof? Orlovsky tried to retreat to technicals, 40s, NIL, development arcs, like numbers could reframe reality.
When did that not become at the quarterback spot generational physical ability, let alone elite, rare bloodlines when it comes to the quarterback?
Clark didn't get louder. He got clearer. He let bad logic collapse under its own weight. The illusion cracked where it always does. When projection ignores what the tape already shows, even people who'd argued with Clark before found themselves nodding along. He wasn't defending one player, he was defending fairness. When the segment cut to break, you could feel that post-KO hush. Orlovsky stared straight ahead, blinking. Producers pretended to shuffle papers. Clark leaned back. Composed, mission complete. Online, the vest line trended in minutes. But the quotes that stuck weren't the jokes. It was the truth. You can't measure heart, generational doesn't wait. Hype fades, results don't. If you're riding with calling out that bias when you see it, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Our follow-up film study drops next. Here's why the moment matters beyond the meme. It reset the calibration. Every time generational gets tossed around as a marketing word, you're going to hear echoes of Clark asking for receipts. Did he move the scoreboard or just the search results? Did he bend coverages or just bend narratives? Did he change teammates or just change graphics? That's the test. And that's why the segment felt like a reckoning, not a rant. Because the truth is simple. Real generational talent doesn't need a last name, a wardrobe, or a studio cosign. It imposes itself, play after play, until even the loudest skeptic runs out of angles. Clark didn't just win a TV fight. He restored perspective and put the focus back where it belongs, on what happens when the ball is snapped. Still, the aftermath is the tell. Watch how the language shifts over the next few weeks. Generational will suddenly come with commas and caveats. Traits, tools, eventually. That's the retreat of a narrative that just got checked. The better question is the one Clark posed without posing it. Who changes the math? The guys we schedule around, game plan around, sleep less all week because of that's generational. Think about what Shedeur's already done by that standard. He didn't inherit turnkey operations. He built gravity, made teammates faster just by believing, made stadiums louder just by walking out of the tunnel. He turned Saturdays into syndication. That is what the word is supposed to mean. You can disagree about ceilings. You can't deny impact. And it's not anti-Arch to say so. Arch Manning might become terrific. He's talented, coached up, and comes from football mindshare. But might isn't is. And Clark's point is precisely that. Stop awarding crowns on credit. Let the field decide. When the tape stacks, the label can follow. There's a bigger media critique hiding in plain sight. TV loves templates because templates are safe. Legacy name equals clicks. Clicks equal segments. Segments equal consensus. But consensus is not clairvoyance. And certainty manufactured in a rundown meeting melts against real evidence. That's what we watched live, a format bump up against an uncomfortable truth, and a former Pro Bowler refused to smile through it. Notice too how the panel reacted after the punchline passed. The laughter wasn't only at a vest, it was at the absurdity of the scaffolding around takes that ignore what's obvious on film. Sometimes it takes humor to unmask habit. Sometimes it takes a well-timed line to reset the floor of honesty. The football layer is even simpler. Quarterbacking is less about time, speed, and more about controlled tempo. Eyes, feet, answers. Pre-snap tells into post-snap truth. Throwing on time with leverage into windows you can't measure on GPS. It is anticipation under duress. It is economy. No wasted hitches, no wasted courage. And then it is that one trait you only know when you see it. He made 10 other guys better. Stats catch up to that. They don't predict it. Clark kept circling back to that reality without ever diagramming it. He didn't fire up a telestrator, he fired up a standard. If your definition of generational can be read before warm-ups and still sound convincing after 3 months of bland tape, your definition is wrong. The word should feel earned, not inherited. To be fair, Dan Orlovsky wasn't committing broadcast malpractice, he was echoing a comfortable frame. The problem is the frame. When the industry chases predictability, it awards potential like trophies and leaves production to fend for itself. That's backwards. At minimum, it deserves to be challenged on air by somebody who's been in a huddle where names don't save you on third down. And that's why the moment ricocheted beyond sports TV. Fans who've been screaming at their screens for years, watched the games, saw someone with a mic do exactly that. If vindication is viral. But underneath the virality is a path forward. Recalibrate the word. If you mean promising traits, say that. If you mean transformative presence, say that. And then point us to the snaps that prove it. Here's a quick checklist. Clark's argument implies for using generational with a straight face. Does he force defenses to change structure before the snap? Does his presence elevate teammates in measurable ways? EPA, success rate, explosives beyond roster expectation? Does he solve pressure without panic? Hot answers, sight adjustments, layered balls on time? Does he change the noise of the building? If you're checking those boxes consistently, we can talk. Apply that to Shedeur, and the case clarifies. He's processed chaos, owned moments, and changed programs. That doesn't mean he's finished. It means he's already operating in the neighborhood the word points to, while others are still waiting for moving trucks. That's the difference between path and promise. So no, this wasn't a meltdown. It was a message. Stop grading jerseys. Start grading juice. The name on the back is a story. The ball in the air is the truth. If you're here for that truth and want the next deep dive when it posts, hit subscribe now and drop your generational criteria in the comments. We'll feature the best in our next episode. By the end of the day, the vest meme will fade, but the standard should stick. Hype moves fast. Results age well. Remember that the next time a desk segment tries to sell certainty without receipts, ask the only question that matters: who moved the game? Because when the dust settled in that studio, one answer stood up cleaner than the rest. Hype fades, results don't. Ryan Clark didn't just win a debate, he restored perspective and put the word generational on notice. And if you've actually watched Shedeur Sanders carry pressure, calibrate windows, and command moments, you already know why that stung. Not because of a vest, because the tape told the truth. See you next time.